7 states voted last night, the biggest primary day of the year so far, and some interesting results. Tracking it all, ABC News political director Rick Klein. He joins us now with more. Rick, let's start in California and that fascinating district attorney recall race in San Francisco. You've got radical royalty, right? Keza Boudin, who's the incumbent DA there, the son of Weather Underground 1960s radicals who spent time in prison for the killing of police officers. And there was a movement to recall him because he wasn't tough enough on crime. How'd that go?
Yeah, it's fascinating, Tara. You got California, a big blue wall out there on the West Coast, but the progressives were fighting with themselves over Boudin's progressive policies around criminal justice. He came in to crying cash bail, saying they were going to be a little lighter and more lenient on low-level offenders. People of San Francisco essentially rebelled on that. 2.5 years into his term, they resoundingly voted him out of office, and it's being viewed as something of a national referendum on the way that progressives, the way that Democrats have framed issues around criminal justice, with rising crime rates, with concerns around violence, whether it's gun violence or otherwise. This kind of approach to criminal justice did not work in one of the bluest cities and one of the bluest states in the country.
All right, let's stay in California, shall we? Let's talk about that race for mayor in Los Angeles. Always exciting. I lived and worked there. Let's break down the matchup and the key issues on the minds of voters there.
Get ready for a runoff. It's going to happen this November, and the two candidates are going to be really interesting because they also represent diametrically opposed approaches to criminal justice and policing. Congresswoman Karen Bass, who's one of the champions of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. We remember her as one of the shortlisters for President Biden when he was considering his potential running mates back in 2020. She is going to have to run against the billionaire developer Rick Caruso. Caruso, until recently, a Republican. Some people making the comparison to the way that Mike Bloomberg was able to become mayor of New York. But Caruso has been putting millions of his own dollars into a campaign, not just against Bass, but against the entire establishment of Los Angeles, saying their approach has left people less safe, run against corruption as well. And it is going to be quite a race because of the money that's being spent and, again, the potency of these issues around crime and criminal justice in particular.
And it sounds like both of those issues, progressive Democratic voters traditionally in California, moving to the center. And you've noted, Rick, that Republicans, some of the more moderate centrist Republicans, won their primaries recently. Which of those races have you been watching?
It was an interesting trend that we saw in a bunch of states, and I wanted to just zoom in on a couple in particular, guys. Iowa is one of them because Republicans right now control 3 out of the 4 seats. They've got their eyes on the 4th. That's the 3rd congressional district that's now controlled by Congresswoman Cindy Axne. The Republicans some of them were worried that they may get someone who's aligned pretty closely with President Trump. Instead, they got Zach Nunn, a state senator, a military veteran, seen as a more mainstream candidate. He won relatively easily, probably a pretty strong matchup. Similar in New Jersey, the 7th congressional district, where Tom Malinowski has to contend with a district that's actually a lot more Republican. Tom Kean Jr., more royalty in politics. His father was a popular Republican governor. This is a rematch. Tom Kean Jr. lost by about 5,000 votes last time around. This time he's got a more favorable congressional district. He also has more favorable political environment. We also saw some Republican incumbents appear to hold on into the runoffs in California. People like Young Kim and David Valadao, both of them, again, Trumpy candidates were out there kind of nipping at their heels. And sometimes it's what doesn't happen that's interesting as well. In South Dakota, we saw President Trump make a lot of noise about trying to oust Senator John Thune, also Congressman Dusty Johnson, who voted for the January 6th Independent Commission. Both of those men, though, easily survived any primary challenge.
All right, finally, let's look ahead to November. What do these results tell you about what we can expect? Can you read the tea leaves?
Yeah, I mean, I want to just bring up our poll from earlier in the week about Biden approval rating on inflation and gas prices. They're under 30%. And even on issues that Democrats have tried to own around gun violence and abortion rights, those are not good numbers. Those are headwinds for Democrats. And President Biden himself said that the message out of California and elsewhere yesterday is that voters are not happy with the status quo, particularly when it comes to justice and public safety. Broaden that out. It's going to be about the economy. These are the issues around high prices that are hitting Americans every day as they live their lives, and it is animating their vote this year.
Basically bread and butter, kitchen table issues, if I may. And it sounds, by what you're saying, maybe, just maybe, there's a return to normalcy in American politics. We'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Don't say that out loud.
Rick Klein,
as always.
As always, thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.